Everybody back for another episode. We were really getting down to the wire on doing little stuff on this thing. The projects are getting smaller, and we're getting closer to actually having a running driving project. So let's take a look at what we're hammering on this week.
No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
Okay, so I've been doing some small things off camera the last several days. And let me kind of show you what we got here. So I think I showed you these mirrors last video. And also thanks to everybody who tuned into that last video. I had quite a few watchers and a lot of nice comments, and I appreciate that. So anyway, we got these mirrors screwed down. I got my hood latch cleaned up, lubed up, working again nice, so it's on there. The cable that was on this car for the hood release was broke, so I ordered this cable, which was actually off of a 50 something or 40 something Ford or Dodge, I don't remember, off eBay. It was 20 bucks, so I bought it. And we got it on there, and that latch works good. You saw we did the wiper motor last time. I've actually got an idea for a fix on this. So it does work, but it's got a little bit of a vacuum leak when it's in the off position. And I guess this little valve plate's wore, or that little surface is uneven up in there. I took this back apart, and there's a little reed spring up in there that holds tension on that sliders that goes back and forth, and I kind of bent on that to give it a little bit more. It's still got a little bit of vacuum leak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this in the on position, and instead of using the control cable to operate it and leaving it hooked up to vacuum all the time, I've got a little 12-volt vacuum solenoid coming that we're going to put right here. And we're going to put a switch on the dash. You throw the switch, the solenoid opens, you get vacuum, wipers will work. You shut the switch off, it shuts vacuum off, and you don't have to worry about the vacuum leak. So for a $12 fix, we'll go that route for a while, unless later we decide to find another vacuum motor or put electric wipers, or who knows. We'll worry about that later. Anyway, I got my air intake all set up. So this is a kit I ordered off of Amazon. It was like 20 bucks, I think. So we just got this tube here, and it had a hole over here. I had to put it over here. So this pipe is the fresh air feed for the idle circuit on the throttle body. That's the factory Ford. I don't remember what you call that thing. And screwed this filter to the end of it, and I think it looks pretty good. I had to shorten it up a little bit, but it seems to do well. I went over here, went through my vacuum lines, and eliminated everything that I am not using. So this is the another part of the EGR. I took the other part of the EGR solenoid off. This is also listed as part of the EGR. I don't know if this feeds back to the ECM or not, so I left it plugged in, just disconnected all the vacuum lines. We may have to program that out, but for now I'm just leaving it in place, and we'll see how that goes. Also got my buke tank on the radiator, so that is ready to go. Condenser is mounted. I think we showed that last time. I have got some of this floor insulation stuff. That's the No Name brand. I got a couple rolls of it. We're going to put that on there. The carpet is being shipped. It is on the way. The glass is being shipped. It is on the way. The gaskets are being shipped. It's on the way. I've got the windshield installation lined up for next week. So we're rolling along here. We are not very far from putting an interior in this thing and driving it. I can't really test drive it now. I don't have a seat to put in it. So I got to recover that seat. Seat upholstery is also on the way. But with the air pipe hooked up and all the vacuum line hooked up, this thing wants to run. Much better than that. So I know I'm going to get a check engine light, just because there's, you know, the EGR and all that is unhooked. But for right now, I'm not getting that. I do have a battery light, which I need to check into that. Yeah. And see why I've got that. I don't know if I'm missing a wire or if the alternator is actually not charging. So we'll have to check into that and see. But for today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping these wiring harnesses. I'm just going to use some electrical harness tape, get them wrapped. And there's other little things we're going to work on here. I need to get the brakes bled, and I'm out of brake fluid, so we need to do that. So that's where we're going, and let's see what we get done and where we end this thing with. All right, it has been a battle today. Trying to figure out why this thing wasn't charging with that battery light on. So there was, I was thinking Chevy. You've got the main battery positive post to the alternator, and then you've got a plug right there. That little 3-prong plug, I don't know if you can see it. So that's a battery, a ground, and a ignition. But on Ford, you got another one. A little single wire plug goes down in there, and that wire got shoved down under this harness. So we got that in there, and now it is charging. But I broke the water temperature sensor off while I was doing that. And so I've got another one coming. I got to go get that. But we are charging. I was having problems with the blinkers not working. So I pulled the steering wheel and just cleaned up the contacts on that little blinker switch. And now I've got 3 blinkers working. that one, and this one back here. But I don't have the 4th one. Suckers blink fast. Well, that one was working. There it goes. And I can see that one blinking up there. And I'm blinking over there. And I'm blinking over there. But I cannot get this one. So I may have to take the steering wheel back off and take that switch back apart, which I don't want to do right now. So we'll deal with that later. But no more charge light, it's out. So we're good there. Okay, been working on the hood. Went to retap these holes for the hood bolts. I got those retapped. I should have done this before. Retap this one and this one. The little nut zert or whatever it is broke off and fell down inside the hood. So we welded a bolt on that one, and that'll work. Got the hood tension rods on. Those are interesting to put on. Tied up a few wires, so kind of showing things after the fact here, but this is, you know, this is where we are. I've got some brake fluid, filled up the master cylinder, and I've got the rear bleeders just open, and I'm just going to let it kind of gravity bleed through there for a while. Might take several hours for it to just dribble from here back to there. Well, let's get it back to there, then I'll shut it off, and then we'll gravity bleed the front a little bit, and then once all that's done, then we'll go ahead and actually bleed them and see how it works. But all right, we're coming along. So let me, I think we're going to put the hood on this thing today. I'm gonna have to get the wife to help me, but I'd like to get it on there. All right, we'll check back in a bit. Okay, hood is on. That was a wrestling match, I'll tell you, but it seems to close pretty good. I'm not gonna latch it yet, but it does line up pretty decent. Gap over there and gap over here looks about the same. There used to be some hood bumpers here, and I don't know what happened to them. I can't remember if they were there and I took them off, or if they weren't even there. But yeah, it seems to move nice and smooth. I'll tell you what, them old hood hinges was completely locked up when we started working on this, so I'm pretty happy with that. We can one hand that and no issues, so I'm good with that. All right, I went ahead and started getting some fluid out of the back brakes, so I got them just cracked open a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and let those sit overnight. And I think that's all we're going to do today. We'll get back out here tomorrow, do some more. I think my piece of glass came in today, but my gaskets are not here yet, so I'll unwrap that and take a look at it. But we're getting awful close to throwing an interior in this thing and trying for a cruise. I got to get the back tailgate back on it too. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll take a look back tomorrow. All right, this is how warm it is today. We are working with the door open. It feels pretty good, which is probably like, I don't know, low 50s, but it still feels really good. And I'm saving gas on not having the heat on. So a couple things we did here. So there's my little solenoid that I put in for the vacuum wipers, and I got to get that wired up. There's some little tiny clips that clip the arms of the wipers onto these, and I cannot find them anywhere. I've got to find those things before I try these wipers. A couple other little things. So I switched out this temperature sensor here, and I got the wrong sensor. If you can see how this little tab on the bottom there is offset to the left, the one I need looks exactly like that, but the tab is dead center, so it will not go on there. I'm wondering if I accidentally got that water sensor over there, which I'm thinking, I don't know if one's the gauge and one is the computer. There's a few different water sensors on there. So anyway, I'm gonna have to find the right one. And I got the little piece here. And there is a minuscule Ford part number on there. Oh, I can see that pretty good if I use my camera. All right, I'm gonna have to look that up and get the right one. You can see where that tab is right in the middle. But anyway, that's done. Back brakes are bled. I had to go back down and it messed with my shift linkage a little bit. It was kind of binding up. I had the, let me show you. I don't know if you can see that. Let's use those. All right, so this guy was too close to this bolt and it was hitting. And this was kind of flopping around too, so I had to get another washer in there. And just ended up bending this arm a little bit. And now it seems to work really smooth. So, you know, you build this stuff and you got to tweak it. And I also, I drilled a hole in the end of here and a hole in the end of here and put some cotter pins in it because this thing was walking this way back and forth and it was causing that thing to interfere. So now we're stationary, we got some grease in there, and I think we're in good shape. Let's see if I can get out of here. All right, my glass showed up last night. It's still in the box in the house, but my glass gasket also showed up. Now this gasket, if you're doing one of these old Ford Wagons, apparently is not available anymore. I've tried steel rubber, I tried rubber the right way, I've tried OCP parts. Everywhere I tried, I cannot find quarter window seals, the factory ones for this wagon. So I just bought a universal seal, which fits over the glass good. It doesn't have this lip. See this lip that hangs over this edge. So I think what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and just put it in with this, and then tape that joint and take some of the windshield urethane and just run me a little bead along there. Maybe up along here, I don't know, we'll see. Just to make sure that water don't get down in there. Carpet is supposed to be here today, so we may end up working on getting some of this in and getting the carpet in this thing. So it's coming along good here. And I think I showed you this, but with all my vacuum lines hooked, nah, the battery's not hooked up now. But with all my vacuum lines hooked up, capped off, plus I got the charging thing fixed. Seems like this computer is starting to kind of figure itself out. I do got a check engine light comes on after a little bit because EGR and all that's not hooked up. But not too concerned about that. We're gonna program all that out there. Settles down to a low idle pretty good. Now without that alternator hooked up, when it tried to go to low idle, it would just die. I don't know why, but yeah, seems to be doing good now. Sounds good. All right. So, what are we gonna do next? I think I'm gonna go ahead and get the front brakes bled. Once we got all the brakes bled, I think we're gonna go ahead and take this thing down off of the jack stands, and just see if we put it in gear, if it'll move back and forth. Before I do that, I think I need to wire up the license plate light. Might as well do that while I got a carpet there and while it's up on jack stands. So we're cruising along here. We'll check back here in just a few. All right, we are back on all 4 feet. Brakes are bled, and I really do like the stance. I guess some people might like it lower, but I've got those Aerostar springs in the front, and they kind of level out with the probably the worn out springs in the back. But I think that's a good stance. It's got good ground clearance. I'm not gonna have to worry about it rubbing over curb or speed bumps, so I'm happy with that. All right, this thing has not moved under its own power since, I forgot when it was a remnants of an inspection sticker on the windshield. I think it was like 1970 something. So we are going to see, will this thing start and will it move? I think we've got the we're not going to go far. I don't have any windows in it. I'm just going to pull it out and pull it back in and see if the brakes work, see if the gears work. All right, let's see what we got. Don't have a seat, just got a milk crate. We got brakes. thing we'll check. I hope that's all it is. All right, let's try this again. I got a bunch of ice back there. I don't even know if I can get out past that, but at least we can go backwards and forwards to it. There we go. Well, that ice ain't gonna let me out. But she moves for the first time in I don't know how many years. What is that, 50? More than 50? Okay. So I've got carpet supposed to be here today. I need to get this insulation down. Before I put the carpet in, I want to get all the windows in. So I've got the back windows to do. I've got a guy coming next week to put the windshield in. So in the meantime, we're going to get these back windows in. I need to wire brush the frame of this thing down and just pour 15 at this back window. And I'm not going to worry about, I know there's some rust holes along there somewhere. I'm not going to worry about fixing them all. I just want to get it to where it'll stop and get it operating. I've got more gate hardware, but we'll get that in. We'll get these guys in. We'll get this down, and then once the front window is in, we'll put the carpet in, and then I'll work on this, cleaning up this back panel that lays down on the bed, and we'll go ahead and paint that. But here's what I need to do right now. All these pieces of trim hold those side windows in. Not that one, that's a front piece. And they all kind of overlap. So I need to wire brush the back of them. Spray a little something, rust inhibitor on the back. And then on the front where they're blue, we're going to paint them the same color as the dash. We're just going to keep going with the old Rust-Oleum. Once we get that in, get the windows in, we get the carpet in, then probably in the next few videos, we're going to start on recovering that front seat because that stuff is almost here too. So let me check, see how much time I got left on this. Like I said, I'm just going to wire brush these and shoot them, so we'll take a look at that before we end this. Alright, so sorry about the compressor noise. I've been wire brushing the backs of these things with the drill to get the loose rust off of them. And we're going to paint that rust inhibitor on there, but I wanted to get this surface rust off without gouging into the metal or stripping them all the way to bare metal. So I got these little fiber discs I picked up at Harbor Freight. I never used them. I just threw them in the cabinet and forgot about them. But these things work pretty good. Mix this out. That knocks that off and leaves that little paint. So I'm thinking I should be able to clean that surface. I'll just use that Rust-Oleum over it. These aren't all this bad. The ones that were on the side with the broken window have got the most rust on them. The other side ain't too bad. So let me get these cleaned up, and then we'll paint them with that rust inhibitor and see what we got. Okay, so I got all this stuff cleaned off. Came out really nice. I don't know if you can see that or not, but knocked all the rust off of it. So I had a little bit of this left. For rust inhibitor on this kind of stuff, I really prefer this because you can spray it and kind of get it into where you want, but I'm out. So we've got this other stuff, this rapid rust converter, which works fine. It doesn't turn black like that. It turns to like a milky, chalky look, which is fine for what we're doing. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this, and this is the backs of everything. I just want to make sure that if any water would get behind this stuff, that it's not going to continue to rust. Or obviously we just, you know, we didn't remove all the rust out of the metal's pores. We just kind of knocked it off of there and smoothed it out. So it would continue to react if it had moisture. So this should stop it. And we're going to paint all of these. And then I'm going to let all this dry. And then we're going to paint the fronts. I had enough of that to do these two little pieces. These were kind of tight to get into because of these little clips around them. Did not have enough to finish this. Also, one thing I don't know, and maybe I should have checked, was how these two chemicals react with each other before I go spreading one on the other. So if you see me grab my throat and hit the ground, then you know it's a bad reaction. Kind of like bleach and ammonia. I don't know if you've ever been lucky enough or unlucky enough to mix bleach and ammonia together, but I think that makes chlorine gas, but it'll kill you fast. I was watching a TV show a few years ago just about bizarre ways that people have gotten killed. And one of them was a couple bought an Airstream trailer that had been abandoned for many years and was rehabbing it. And while they were working inside, they poured bleach down the toilet to try to clean out the poop tank. Well, there were solids down there, you know, from the people waste from years ago. And there was urine down there, which is kind of ammonia. There's an ammonia element to it. So once those two mixed, it filled the whole trailer up with chlorine gas so quick that neither one of them could make it out and they both died. Pretty interesting. Okay, so let's, I'm gonna let that dry. Well, I'll tell you what. I should have put a little on the outside of that. There's just a couple of spots on these that still kind of got some rust stain from where we sanded them off. I'm just gonna brush some of this on there before we put the paint on there. And I wiped them off with some, I didn't have any wax and grease remover, so I used urethane reducer. Yeah, there's just like spots on here. Let's just brush it on there. Just to make sure. Rusty spot there. Really excited about getting this thing done and on the road. You know, the past couple of years, it seemed like I'm always figuring I'll have my project done by spring and then end up working on it until midsummer. Don't have anything to go to the car shows. Don't feel like going to car shows when I don't have my car there. Then I get it sort of done. Then you got to work the bugs out of it. Well, then by the time you get the bugs worked out of it, car show season's about over, and You didn't get a whole lot of enjoyment out of it that year. So this year is going to be different. Here we are in January, and we are almost road ready, which is nice. There's a little bit on these. Spin the camera back around. And I'll probably give these just a few hours. I'll come out here and hit them. That makes sure I got enough paint. Bought a few cans of that Rust-Oleum blue paint that I painted the dash with. I think there's some more of it up there. Yeah. See, we definitely got some rust there in there. This stuff's like water, so it'll should be able to just paint right over it. I've got a lot of trim pieces to do this too. That one's fine. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, we'll stop there. I'll dig out the blue paint and we'll come back out here and give it a couple hours, I guess. This is hot over here. And we'll shoot some blue on them. All right, back in a bit. All right, there we go. So we got the first coat on them. That is Rust-Oleum Satin Wildflower Blue. Wildflower Blue? Wildflower Blue. Which I think is a good close enough match to what the color of that interior was. So, all right, I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit, and we'll come back out and hit it with another coat, and then let them sit overnight and call them good. Went ahead and did my ashtray and my glove box door too while I was at it. But we'll get these done. We'll get them windows in, and I've just got a massive pile of trim to paint. All the trim around the windows and the seat frames and the door dividers and tops of the doors. But you know what? Every one of these door tops, that window fuzzy is actually in really good shape. It's not coming apart on any of these. But I do want to give it paint behind that because that rust got in there. So what we're going to do, see these staple on. We're going to cut those staples off. We're going to take these off, and then I've got some little number 6 countersink screws we'll attach this back on with, just so we can get that rust under there. But that's where we're at. We're just going to keep on and chugging along here. All right, there we go. We got our second coat on, and it's all pretty much dry, so I think it looks pretty good, you know, for spray bomb stuff. I'm happy with it. I pulled out my polishing wheel out from back there and cleaned up all the chrome that goes around the windshield. So when those guys come to put the windshield in next week, I'll have that chrome cleaned up and ready to go. And used some of this first with a toothbrush, let it sit on there, wiped it off, and then use the polishing wheel with there's like a stick compound you get from Harbor Freight. Yes, I pretty much get everything from Harbor Freight. What do I do with that stuff? This stuff. So I'll load up this side of the wheel with this and polish it, and then use this side of the wheel dry and kind of buff it a little bit, and it seems to work pretty good on stainless. If you really want to sit here and work on it and work on it and work on it, you can really get that stuff nice. If you see that white 48 Plymouth in the intro on my videos, I used this to polish up all the chrome on that grill, and that was a lot. There was like 28 pieces of chrome on that grill. So, all right, we're going to let this dry overnight, and then tomorrow I think we will finish the video out by putting these side windows in and getting them done. So We got the old glass over here, which is in good shape. We're going to use it. And then we've got the new glass in this box over here that I haven't opened yet. But we'll get both of those put in, and we'll get that trim put on, and just see how that universal gasket stuff works. So I think it's going to be all right. When you push that trim up against here, you've got, it looks like it's going to be just about right to fit that in there. So I haven't decided if I'm going to put any kind of sealer in here or not. There, it looks like there was some there before. There's none on the track. I mean, that stuff just popped in and out when you did it. So we'll wipe this down. We'll get them in there, and then we may run a bead of windshield urethane along the outside of these things. So we'll see. We'll tackle that tomorrow. All right, so let's hang it up for today, and we will pick this back up tomorrow. I'll tell you what, this glass had so much bubble wrap on it, all the way around it, down in the box, and still it broke. Unbelievable. All right, well, I guess we're putting one piece of glass in tomorrow. This one is going to have to be, I don't know, I'm going to box it up and return it. I'm probably not going to want a broken piece of glass back, but I'm going to have to send them a picture of what happened. Okay, bummer. Well, we will get the other glass in tomorrow, and we'll get this glass reordered. I was really bummed about that glass being broke. I was looking forward to getting both these windows in, but it is what it is. I contacted the buyer on eBay, haven't heard back yet, but hopefully they will send me a replacement with no problems. There was no damage to the box, and that thing had so much bubble wrap all the way around it. I don't see how it could have happened in transit. I think probably when they were bubble wrapping it, it might have just like bumped the end of a table and they didn't notice it, and it just chipped that edge. So hopefully we'll have no issues from that buyer. I don't think we will. They've been pretty good. I don't even know who it is. I can't remember. Anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to put the other window in. We'll get that big back window put in. Here's my trim. It's all painted up nice. It's got some extra holes drilled in it that I don't know what those are for, but I didn't bother messing with those. So it gets one of these pieces of trim, it gets one of these long pieces of trim, and then it gets one of these pieces of trim for along the back part of the tailgate. I'm gonna see which is which. Okay, be the other piece, because this piece goes to the bottom. No, wait a minute, that might be right. So we got that piece, we got this piece, and then we got the top piece. That's right. So, yeah, and then the top piece has the front piece. So let me dig through the screws, count how many screws I got that we're gonna need. It looks like you have to put the top piece on first, because that bottom piece overlaps that piece and has to go down in there. And it looks like this top piece so this top piece goes over this piece like this. So actually this piece has got to go on first. So let me get my screws counted, find all the screws for that. We'll get that piece of glass up here and we'll clean it up a little bit with some Windex, just like in Big Fat Greek Wedding. Put some Windex on it. And then we'll see if we can get this thing screwed in there. All right, so like I said, they don't make the, or I couldn't find it, the factory gasket for this anymore. So I did find this stuff from a company called Rubber the Right Way. And it's close. It fits over the edge nice. And I think we'll be able to make this work. It's really, really close in measurement to the original rubber. Let's just not break the other window now, or slice myself open. So let me get this on here, and then we'll see if we can get this window put in. Okay, so we got this gasket on, and one thing I really like about this rubber gasket is it grips. I mean, you spread it out and you put it on the glass and it's not trying to pull away anywhere. So even going around the corners, it stays on there good. So seems like a pretty good product. If we go back here, there was a little sealer. Not like big globs of it. There was a little bead of some kind of sealer down in here. So I had some gray urethane window sealer in a caulk tube, and I just squirted some in there. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I counted all my screws out. I needed 8 screws to get all these trim pieces on. So I got them sitting right here. I know this is going to be the first piece of trim to go on. So we're going to put it in here. I'm going to put this here. I've got the other piece of trim right up here ready to grab. Let's put it back here so we can grab it. I've got the bottom piece of trim on the inside. That is the last piece to go on. So let's see if we can make this work. Let me grab a screwdriver. Right here. And let's see if we can get this thing in here without destroying it. Would be really nice, I think. Another thing I did wrong was I didn't realize that this piece of glass was tinted. And the piece of glass I ordered was clear. But the one I ordered was broke, so I'm not going to go back to them and say, hey, this was broke, send me a new one. By the way, I ordered the wrong color. So the other side's clear, I'm okay with that. Instead of something soft right there to set that on. And which way do I want to go in? I guess I'll try to go in this way. Is this a two-man job? Probably. But we're going to make it work. Let's be very, very careful. All precautions have been taken, and we are ready. So it looks like, just set this guy in like that. Right on the ear thing. That. Which looks perfecto. Alright. I don't know if you can hear me now with the glass in, but I got my Bigfoot sticker on there too. Gotta have your Sasquatch paraphernalia. That's the first piece. The second piece will be the top piece. This. I think it is.
In the hours before the report was made, police in Milwaukee had begun making a series of disturbing and unsettling discoveries that would eventually
That'll hold
lead
it.
to the truth behind what happened to Shanae.
Sorry, my podcast
and
just kicked on. Let me shut that off.
responsible. This is Shade's story. A year ago, Shade Robinson was living.
these are little holes are hard to find. I can see them. Here we go. Now, let's get this guy on. To get a flashlight or a flipper or something to find those holes. But it's in there. And yeah, I think we're gonna get a tube of black windshield urethane and just run a bead here, here, and here. There's just enough of a gap with that gasket being a little smaller and being a universal gasket, but I think it's going to be fine. As you can see, the window's in there. No play in it. But, I don't know how to do it. Let's take a look at the inside here. It's pretty good. I need to get something to find these screw holes. They're kind of tough to get those trim screws up there, but we'll get it. All right. Okay, that's where we're going to end this one. So next video this week, I will have the guys here putting the windshield in. We'll probably have that in by next video, and hopefully that other piece of glass on the way. But once this windshield is in, and carpet is supposed to be here tomorrow, we'll go ahead and start laying out this insulation inside, get the carpet laid out in there, maybe start working on that back hatch piece. But that's where we're going. So let's get a word from the Lord, and that'll be it for this one. Hey everybody, thanks for coming along on the video. As you saw, it's just more small things, kind of getting the car ready. I am hoping in the next 4 to 6 weeks this thing is like done and on the road. There's always more things to do, but would like to just get it to a point where I can cruise it around and enjoy it, and start on some other things. So that's what we're shooting for, and I think we're getting pretty close. So for a message this week, want to talk a little bit more about Job. You know, we talked about him the last couple of episodes, and you know, kind of the last few episodes we have seen. Obviously, you remember what Job was going through with being tested by Satan, with losing his family, losing his possessions, finally losing his health, being reduced to sitting in a sackcloth in that pile of ash heaps, scraping his scabbed over boils with a shard of pottery. pretty destitute picture. And the whole time Job continues to question, not question God, but question to his friends, why is God doing this to me? And then in the last episode, you kind of saw where he was almost getting some pride going, where he's like, well, hey, I haven't done anything really bad. If I had done some terrible things, I could understand this, but why won't God talk to me and tell me why he's doing this to me? And we notice that God has been silent throughout this entire thing. So now we get to the point, after Job has gone back and forth with several of his friends, that, hang on a second, let me pull this up, that finally God says, okay, now it's my turn to talk. And if you read chapter 40 and 41 in Job, God just lays it out that he is the Almighty, that this is his plan, that he is not to be questioned, that he has reasons behind what he does, that we have such a minuscule understanding of him and his power. And just a few things he says. Will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him. And Job says, I am unworthy, how can I reply to you? I'll put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, I had no answer, twice, but I will say no more. And the Lord says, oh no, you were complaining, now you're going to listen to me. And he says, brace yourself like a man, I will question you, and you will answer me. Will you discredit my justice? Will you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's, and can your voice thunder like his? Adorn yourself with glory and splendor, and clothe yourself in honor and majesty. Unleash the fury of your wrath. Look at all who are proud and bring them low. Look at all who are proud and humble them. Crush the wicked where they stand. Bury them in the dust together. Shroud their faces in the grave. Then I myself will admit to you that your own right hand can save you. So God kind of puts Job in his place here, and he goes on, and he describes, are you as powerful as the Leviathan? Are you as powerful as the behemoth, or behemoth, however you pronounce that? Huge land animal, huge sea animal. And it really gets to, and it's interesting because in the beginning of Job, God is using him as an example to tell Satan, look what a good man Job is. But even a good man, in God's eyes, we can see the pride coming out. We can see the impatience coming out. There's some tough things going on with Job, but we can see that that sin that we all carry, even in someone like Job, that God says, here's an example of a good person. And then after God says his piece with all of this, and Job learns the lesson, God rewards him, and he has more children and more things than he ever had before, and more prestige than he ever had before. Yes, God used him for an example and took him down to the ground to where he had nothing, but because of his obedience to God. And, even though he was complaining and stuff and had to be corrected, because of his obedience to God and because he did not lose his faith, God restored him, and restored him in a big way, bigger than what he had before. So just an awesome example. That whole chapter of Job, that whole book of Job just really speaks to me at times in my own life where I have complained and said, God, why are you doing this? Why is this happening? A lot of time with me, it's been with people I know that I'm close to, that are Christian brothers and sisters that have gone through things, and I've seen illness in their family, and we pray for healing, and the healing doesn't happen. God says no. The healing for them is not here. It's not of this earth. It's for later. I have someone in my own family I'm very, very close to who has suffered from addiction for many years, that it just tears my heart apart for this person. And I have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for a couple of decades now for deliverance for them. And for whatever reason, God has just said, you know, either God is saying it's not the right time, or I'm offering them redemption and they're saying, no, I'm not sure what the exact message is, but the healing hasn't come yet. And maybe it never will of this earth. But it's not my job to question God, because no matter what happens, I know it's the right thing. And the best I can do is continue to pray and continue to love on that person regardless of how it turns out. So hope that's a good message. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Dig into the book of Job this week. Read that whole book. Awesome stuff. Let's have a word of prayer and we'll catch on the next one. Father, I just thank you for your word, for this awesome story of Job, the lessons we can learn from that, and that we can look at our own behavior and see that even when we think that we're doing good and we're doing well, there is still work to be done. There is still that hidden sin of the flesh that we need to work on and we need to overcome. And just show us where those things are and help us to be obedient in continuing to work to eliminate those and to serve you obediently. And we ask this in the precious name of your Son, Jesus. All right, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you, everybody, for all the views on and comments on the last video. And we'll catch you on the next one.